Hello and welcome to Bleed. Bleed Advertising to be exact, with me, Ryan Whyte. I'm a graphic designer. And Bleed is the show where we give you terrible audio and visual quality. Also happens to be a show where it revolves around the theme of advertising and other creative industries. So we get a bunch of ad peeps or creative people, and we just talk about various things like marketing, strategy, advertising in general, graphic design, art direction. But yeah, we're not limited to that. So we talk about film, dancing, any kind of creative expression really, 3D animation. So yes, today I'm not joined by a special guest, and I'm not joined by the usual art director, that is Jacque Moodley. And that is because I will be taking you through some of my favorite moments from season 1, episode 3 and 4. And when we say show, that's a very loose term. It's really just a bunch of us talking shop. When we say season 1 and episode 3 and 4, that's also just the kind of language we like to use to give the illusion of a show. We're really just some people who happen to have access to smartphones and editing software. So that's a disclaimer right at the top of the show as we say. But without any further delays, I think we should jump into season 1, episode 3, which is titled, is it titled or entitled? I don't know. But the title of the show is called, or the title of the episode is called Suck at Maths, Study Advertising. So in this episode we feature Kholisile Zwane. He's a UX and UI designer. He's an illustrator and all-round creative guy. So the kind of things that we discussed in this episode, we focused a lot on corporate versus agency and the kind of autonomy and freedom that corporate can afford you at times. So things like hot desking, the feeling of not being micromanaged. We even got into the fact that in some corporate institutions, they actually allow you to take time off to take care of your health, whether that's mental health or physical health. And there were a few unintentional implementations of like a pre-COVID strategy, which Kholi will take us through. And it's interesting. And when you hear of things like this, and then you talk about agency and advertising agencies in general, it feels a little bit foreign, and we talk about that. We talk about the differences and the I wouldn't say stark contrast, but stark contrast. Anyways. So let's get into this episode.
And we're like, okay, this is weird. And then he's like, I want to talk a little bit about time, and your time. This was before, I think a year before Corona and all that kind of stuff, And he's like, I want to stress the importance of time. You need to respect your time. This thing of working the whole 8 hours is a no-no. Nobody in this world can concentrate for 8 hours straight.
8 hours?
Yeah.
yeah.
Nobody.
18 he means, right?
Yeah. Of the 24.
Yeah, the time that you're at work, half of it you're not productive. You're not doing anything.
It's true. You're on Facebook.
Yeah. So why are you there?
Superbalist.
Exactly. So he's like, so why are you here? If your mind is wandering, book out your calendar to say, at this time I'm not available.
Meditation.
Yeah, exact 100% in those words.
Yoga.
In those words, coffee. Book it out so that when the marketers or whoever comes through with a brief, they see that Kholi's booked out his time, type of thing.
He's crocheting.
Exactly, and book out time every day to do nothing.
Really?
That's the boss, bro.
And that's in corporate.
In corporate.
That's wild.
Like, I'm not sure. I don't care that you are here sitting down working. Yeah. He has never even checked my work. Like, like no one sits, on my shoulder and checks my work, as long as it's right,
Yeah.
you know, and we're pushing and the ideas are good, present it to him once. Yeah, I'll just make a couple of changes there,
Yeah.
you know. But he stressed the importance of also booking out a day during the week where you're working from home, type of thing.
So when was the last time you all tabbed? When someone was walking near your computer?
Dude, that has happened.
That all tab.
No, actually, it happened to a friend of mine. I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
It's a wild one. It's a wild one. But anyway, so yeah, he was stressing that, and like, we need to take turns every week. Ryan, you're booking a day, you're working from home. Type of thing.
Sweet. I'm in.
Yeah, we starting that system type of
Cool,
thing.
man.
And that was before the whole Corona thing, you know.
Before
And
we were forced to.
yeah, and he was pushing it hard. Like, when he looks at our timesheets, he's like, guys, you can't be putting 45 or 50 hours per week, you know, into work. Type.
Which is such a weird mindset because there's like
It is.
creatives from an agency
Yes.
like put more hours.
Put more hours.
Put more hours.
Exactly.
I know you said 60 hours on the show, but just make it 80.
Yeah,
We've all had those
exactly.
conversations.
100%,
Wow.
you know, and half the time you're not inspired, you know, you're just hoying because you have to, you know, like I was saying earlier, I don't like to work when I have to work. I like to work when I want to work, because then I'm Superman. I've tapped into another space altogether, type of thing, and I produce magic.
Inspiration. Yeah.
Exactly, you know, and he was just stressing that, like preaching it, like, Kholi, you're not taking your day this week, type of thing, you know, why aren't you taking your day to work from home?
Crazy, man.
You know, so he championed that whole thing, and everyone thought he was mad, you know, because that's quite a mind shift, you know. We still into the whole macro management thing, you know, we still sort of institutionalized in a sense, you know, and we trained to wake up, go to work, get stuck in traffic, you know, all that nonsense.
Rat racy
Type of thing, you know. And he's like, you're spending 2 hours on traffic, you know. You could have spent that 2 hours at home in your garden, you know, with your family. Yeah. So he kept on preaching that, and then boom, everyone was like, no, you're mad. You know, everyone was, you know, scared. And no, you guys, you UX guys, you're always knocking off early. You're always taking days off, and you know, things like that, and wada. And then we would say like, yeah, that's true, but has anything fell through?
That's the thing, when you give people enough like autonomy,
Yeah,
they'll provide.
exactly. We have never missed a deadline, you know, with that system. You know, everything still runs and it works. And then you start questioning, why are we doing things this way? Why do you have to get stuck in traffic every day going to work? Whereas you can work from home, you know. He was also stressing, set up your home office, you know. Make sure you've got good internet so that it gives you a case that you can work from home. Type of thing. Make sure that you can build an argument to say, no, but why must I come in if I'm attending all of my meetings, you know, I'm doing all of my work, type of thing. So what's the point? You know, of like, you know, you need to think. And he gives us like career advice as well. Like, he actually tells us how to resign and things like that.
That's the thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he teaches us that stuff, how to negotiate, you know. Like, he's not a person that if I say, dude, I'm resigning, he's going to be like, no, but he's going to be like, dude, congratulations, dude.
Well, let's
But
have
like,
a conversation.
let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's see what's on the table, you know, and he can show you stuff and this and that. So I really appreciate that. And he's almost 50 type of thing, you know. And then, boom, Corona came. It was a normal way of living.
Yeah.
And he didn't even say,
I told you so.
I'd hate to say I told you so.
Yeah.
No. You
He was just like, cool, we said no.
yeah, you know. And he decided, look, we're going to get rid of our space, you know. So the nice thing about corporate is that I can work anywhere. Like, I can work at a branch if I want, type of thing, you know. I don't have to go to the main head office. You know. I can work in Rudderport if I want.
Yeah.
You know. That's actually where the UX thing is.
All your credentials are the same. They'll pick it up.
Same access card. Call it a student card, because it's like, fuck. We're back here
back
now.
in the day. Yeah.
You know, anywhere, park anywhere, can go to Santon, wherever I see the the logo, I can go there and just produce my card. I need a space to work, they'll give me hot desking and all that kind of stuff, and I just work. And then I just leave whenever.
That's so sweet.
Type thing. As long as the work is done. He's like, I don't care if you do the work under a tree.
Yeah.
As long as the work is done and it's quality. And also one thing you must realize, go the extra mile. Don't go the extra 10 miles. Anything else after that is a waste.
Which is also opposite to advertising thinking, where it's like craft.
But it also seems like it's weird coming from a corporate that's so future forward.
Yeah.
Whereas you assume that the agency you work with is like on the cutting edge of like what's new and what's next. And like you always look at those offices like Google offices and those things. And before, like, creative agencies were crazy and they had ball pits and fucking
Lego on the walls and
exactly. It's funny. That was you assume corporate is like a little bit more stale and like, it's a crazy thing where how are corporates more future ready than agencies?
Yeah. Okay, so that was episode 3 from season 1. Suck at Maths, Study Advertising, featuring Kholisile Zwane. And so let's jump straight into the next episode. And it is titled Storyboard the Radio Ad, featuring Carl Bailey, aka Rekso Le Hond, illustrator, tattoo artist, and also graffiti artist. So Rekso Le Hond, aka Carl Bailey, we had him on the show, and the title is Storyboard the Radio Ad, and that title originates from weird client requests. It's not the section of this episode that we're going to be highlighting, but just a little bit of background to that. And what we are going to be highlighting, which I found pretty interesting in this episode, is we just reminisced about the good old days of advertising. Is advertising as good as it used to be? How many chefs do you need in a creative kitchen, if you'll use that analogy? Do people stay in their lanes enough? I understand a little bit of cross-pollination here and there, but we talk about staying in your lane. Are there some people working in the front of house, coming into the kitchen and finishing off a souffle? If we're going to stick to that analogy, I think Gordon would have a bollocking if he entered most studios, graphic design studios or advertising agencies. He would give them a right bollocking. I think we should let DTP do their thing. Account managers should do their thing. Graphic designers, art directors, they stick to their lane. And I don't know what Strat can do. They can maybe stack the menus before the customers come in. That's obviously a joke. I love you, Strat. But those are the kinds of things we spoke about. So without any further delays, this is that exact conversation. So the transition thing I find interesting because, like, for you it seemed a combination of circumstance as well as drive. And it kind of fell into place. You tried it, you went bust, went back into advertising, and then you transitioned back to what you are now, which is
to tattoo. I don't think I really found myself in advertising. Really, I don't think I had the same passion as I did with the sort of tattooing and graffiti. Not to say I wasn't passionate about it, but it's just a whole different world. For me, advertising is like you built for it or you're not. I don't know, man. Like, especially for people who are concentrate on the craft, like a designer who's a really good craftsman. I feel like you get so much your work gets so bombarded, For me personally, I mean, I know people thrive on that and they love that, but for me personally, I felt it's very hard to get your whole idea across,
and get watered down, I guess.
It never really gets rolled out. You spend so much time pitching and coming up with these amazing ideas that you give them this whole thing and they just cut, which I understand because it's you're dealing with brands and they have to you have to fall in line with them. But where it really got a bit irritating for me was when you're dealing with, as a creative, you've got your team and you guys come up with your best solution. You've thought of all these questions, you come to this conclusion like this is it, and then you got to give it to another creative marketing team who ask different questions, and then they got it. It's just too many channels, very necessary channels, obviously, but I just felt like Jacque was saying, waters it down. Like I don't feel advertising is as cool as it used to be, or is as free, and I feel there's so many variables. One thing for me, I must say, is like working in South Africa with the whole LSM, lower LSM, and trying to dumb down your ideas because you feel some of your customers are not going to get it. I just don't. I don't believe in that.
No, I completely agree with that. You know, because it's just one of those things. It's like
it's a generalization, and I feel it's just like how are you going to let that affect your brand? Or like, you know, you want to appeal to everyone. That was my understanding. Is like we do cool shit. People will pay attention.
It's also not having faith in your audience, right? You go, this is too high for them, which is
no, like you can't say that.
Condescending.
Like, it's very condescending, and it's wrong. I don't know, but you can see how business would structure it. Like we need to target these people, so they are in this bracket, and
then you start feeling weird as well because now it's like exploitation or whatever.
Advertising's a little bit of that.
We know.
Yeah. You see, I'm just talking from my experience. I mean, guys thrive on exactly what I don't like, you know. So it's very much up to the person. I just feel like young artists and young creatives don't have too much option, so they get guided into doing advertising, and then they kind of, you know, they expect more, and they, you know, I think it's, I think it's quite limiting.
I think the younger guys, just in my personal experience from the guys I've worked with, I remember like starting out my career 10, 12 years ago, and how like, you know, my generation of like the creatives, they're all like at this position now where most of them are CDs, whatever. But I find that the younger generation that I've worked with, at least in the last 2 or 3 years, they all know that side hustle is needed, and they're doing the advertising thing, and they're doing the best they can do, and they're really talented creative people. But all of them have like things on the side. They're selling shirts, or they're designing merch, or they have their own like platforms, or they have proper music. I know at least 3 guys who are like proper musicians, and they have like they sign to these big labels, and they're still doing like art direction.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I think I mean, I wish I had that. And maybe it's like because they grew up like with the internet in their pocket, you know.
We didn't have that understanding. You like get told you need a career.
So you pay bills.
So you like, okay, cool, this is my career. You're not thinking like, you're thinking that's your only source of sort of
revenue, whatever.
Yeah. So I think the kids nowadays they're open to that. It's just cool.
You mentioned that advertising isn't as cool as it was back in the day, and it's been, I think, a common theme with the discussions we've been having. So if you look back to like Mad Men and the way they've glamorized that.
You mean the Heinz ketchup?
It's Heinz. It only means one thing.
That's like a heyday of advertising where it's like, okay, cool. These guys are like in power suits, and they're going to the pitch, and
the whiskey,
they're like smoking during work and whiskey.
Yeah. That's You know, I think it was more like you come to the advertisers with your brand.
Yes.
And you're like, give it to them,
like
and they
begging.
fucking like
begging to get an agency.
And it was like, I'm trusting you guys. You guys are the professionals, you know. Like, and I think that's been completely taken.
Yeah.
So guys with the money call the shots now.
And like, I'm sorry, but like my brand managers, they're necessary, but they're not like, they don't have to be the creative direction of your brand. You know, they must make sure the creative direction is not harming the brand, but they shouldn't have a say. I don't think. I personally don't think so, because dealing with them, they're always just the barricade. And most of the time it's like, I mean, obviously they'll bring up good points, but it's just like this control thing, which I don't really.
Maybe a trend as well, you know.
I don't know if it's a trend, if it's the status quo now. I don't know if that's the way it's set up, and I think agencies also, and I've said this before, they don't fight enough with the brands. It's like we kind of like just, you know, raise our hands and go, okay, cool, whatever you say.
Because you want the money, you know, and that's like, that's not fulfilling, I don't think.
I mean, for me, the main aim and the thing I enjoy about advertising is, yes, we all know we're selling a product to people. Right, so we know that. So my aim is to make that joyful. If you're going to sell me pain pills or I don't know, bio supplements and whatever. Like at least make it joyful and funny.
Yeah, try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing, and I feel like that joy has been taken out of it. You know, there's no like cool jingles anymore, and like
there's a lot of the ads that kind of just fall flat, or it's just information.
Yeah.
You're just getting information.
Yeah. So we were discussing, is it more like us being nostalgic, or are we just like, or are we like nostalgic and old, or is it not as good anymore?
I think it's not as good anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it's saturated, you know. I mean,
it's like banner ads on every
and
every
also
website.
when you're pitching, your costs are like, it's based on how much you're coming in at, and it's, you know, it's like we can take that idea and that budget, and not the best idea, and it's like a lot of variables come into play.
There's a lot of channels that you have to go through, like you mentioned, and I think I don't know if you've experienced this, but I think what I find interesting now is CMs are actually have bigger say now with social media.
Okay.
Content managers.
Yeah, content managers. So like on Facebook, Twitter, because they have direct access to the consumer. So their insights are actually like maybe even held in higher regard than strategy, because they're down there seeing what the messages are. Like,
which is weird to me to even think that.
If there's so much hate on a Twitter page, I mean, like sometimes I feel like Facebook pages are just there so you can go and hate on a brand.
Yeah, it's like the people commenting are going to be the ones.
Yeah, you can't please everyone, right? And you're bound to ruffle feathers, and especially South Africa. South Africa, I think the internet as a whole is like quite sensitive, and you have to be like super PC. But South Africa also, man, is like quite I guess it's quite a concentrated pool of like people who can get offended easily, and like as a brand you can't afford to take chances, because as soon as like you say, and there's constant examples of that.
But it's also like you know, you can be very creative without being offensive. You know, you don't always have to try and ruffle some feathers or be like, if your brand's honest and stuff, you shouldn't have to worry about being racist or saying something that is going to offend someone. Well, or sometimes you want to, you know, like people used to
want to poke a bit of fun.
Have a little bit of a laugh, but like you say,
there aren't very many brands that do that.
It's tough now.
I mean, Nando's used to be like that.
Yeah, even they.
I mean, they've watered down their sort of approach. I mean, it's still good, but it's just whatever agency they were, I guess.
Yeah, but I find like cancel culture will shut a brand down. Like if we look at what's happened with clicks and all that.
But then maybe it's about just trying to be more joyful and humorous
exactly,
than trying to be political or you know, have a serious message, you know, because a lot of the time your product's not saving the fucking world, so have fun with it, you know.
Exactly.
I want people to remember your products, you know. It's like what Coke do so well. I don't know, I haven't been paying attention to them the last few years, but their old adverts are really good because they were, you know, bringing people together. They create a smile. It's all about happiness. And
I think that that's still the strategy. More or less.
Yeah, exactly, and it works.
Bring people together and share a good time.
Yeah, and it's simple. I mean, obviously the brands are different, but it just, like I say, I think a little bit boring nowadays. Maybe a bit more PC. You gotta like, you know, what whose toes you're standing on.
Yeah, maybe it's because nobody like stands for something, right? Like none of the brands have like I think the brands that you know like really represent an ideal or whatever. Those are the ones that stand out, but all the other ones are kind of like same.
Yeah, they just want to be. They don't want to stand out for any specific reason, maybe. Or
stand up.
Or have actually something to say. You know. Yeah, I mean, you won't hear brands speaking out about issues like cancel culture and stuff like that.
They'll defend themselves like, oh, sorry, this wasn't our fault.
They'll apologize, but you know.
It's my favorite because with that kind of stuff, then you need to craft an apology. You need to get a PR team involved,
or just blame the juniors.
You need a campaign around saying sorry.
Exactly. It's just like it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. But I mean, with the content managers, it's gotten to a point where they're influencing briefs coming in, because they'll be like, listen, we see that females are responding more towards this male-focused brand, and in the next ad, we need to have females. We need to feature females, or we're going to cancel you guys because we like supporting you.
But those are the guys that, I mean,
God,
But I don't know.
that
You
sounds
can
so
look
painful.
at it two ways. Because like the guys, back in the day, like we use the 90s as a reference because that's when our lecturers like were in the industry, and they would like if they had a beer brand or whatever, they'd go to the factory, they'd taste the beer, they'd go like pick the
Hops.
the hops. No, for real, like, and they would like do like real research, and because like the timelines are like this much shorter. Our research is what did they said on Twitter? Oh, they said this. Okay, everyone, the positive sentiment is this, and there's like
you're not getting a feel, you're getting an idea of what it is.
yeah, there's no like real in-depth research. It's just kind of that's level surface. Oh, everyone's happy with this, but they're upset about the World Cup or some shit, and then we go, cool, we need to do World Cup things now.
Yeah, isn't it like so? Like you're just following like
Exactly.
what's going on in line, and like to your point, where if let's say a female audience is looking more at your brand, the knee-jerk reaction would be make an ad for female.
Yes,
Instead of
exactly.
just you're obviously doing something that's attracting them, so work on that and like build on that. Don't just now you pander to everyone.
Yeah.
Pandering makes you seem a bit like boring.
AKA strategy. No, I'm just kidding. So there we have it. That was episode 4 from season 1, Storyboard the Radio Ad, featuring Carl Bailey, aka Rekso Le Hond. And that's what we're doing here at Bleed Advertising. And I say Bleed Advertising, it's just my bedroom and I'm talking into a laptop. That's what we like to do. We like to streamline things so that you don't need to watch the whole episode. Maybe you pick up a little tidbit and then you're like, hey, I want to watch the whole episode. So we've done that out of the kindness of our hearts, really, and also to drive you back to older content because, we're in advertising and we know how it works. Our intentions aren't exactly that pure. We want you to go and watch all the old stuff so we don't have to keep making new stuff. Have a look at the highlights. Enjoy them for what they are, or go back and watch the full episode. What else can I say? If you have any complaints, you can direct them to bleedadvertising@gmail.com. Like I said before, we're only accepting complaints right now. And other than that, you can check our you can check our blog out. We've got some new blog posts up. What else do we have there? All the episodes are housed there as well on Spotify and YouTube. Let's see, what else do we have? I should have prepared. We also have our Instagram page, which is bleed_advertising. If you want to go and see, just some of the graphics that we've put up there, and it's a nice place to engage. You can DM us there. And what else? I'm on my way to my mom's birthday party, so I'm going to wrap this up. And hope you enjoy your Freedom Day. It's Freedom Day in South Africa right now, so let's enjoy a bit of freedom. And that's it. Wait, hold on. Let me press play again. Obviously, the URL for the website is www.bleedadvertising.com. Okay, now I'm really out. I need more coffee in my system.